Welcome to Signal Solutions TV. It's me, Mark Rose, and my colleague Adam Butler.
Yeah, you've dragged me here again.
Here he is again.
Kicking and screaming.
It's
No,
weird.
I love it.
It's weird. You always wear the same shirt.
I know. It's
yeah.
my filming shirt.
Oh, so do I sometimes.
Yes.
Well, we do a few of these in one go.
No, that's not it. It's just a coincidence, Mark.
Right. So what are we here to talk about today, Adam?
Well, from the inquiries we generate, quite a lot, and actually quite a lot of the installs we've done over the years have been with hotels.
Yep.
So, and actually we had a really good experience over the last 12 months where we went to a hotel show, met lots of hoteliers, and they all seem to have similar themes of frustrations for their workforces and guests. So I thought maybe we could talk about hotels and the benefits of ensuring excellent mobile signal connectivity within
Great idea.
their venues.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we as you said, we have worked with some hotels. We've done some really good installations and got really good feedback from the work we've done with hotels. But I still know from my own personal point of view, that I go to hotels where I do struggle with mobile signal.
Yes, of course. And, I think we were talking about it when we were talking about retail and, going shopping, supermarket, the frustrations of not maybe having mobile signal, which you don't necessarily always feel at the time when you're in the shop. It's when you leave and you get all the messages that can be frustrating. Typically, your hotel experience is a very different one because you're there to relax, enjoy yourself. Even if you're on business, you want to be able to unwind, and you're in that environment for longer than the typical 30-minute shopping experience.
Yeah.
So what are those frustrations typically?
Well, you're right. If you're in a hotel, you're there to relax, but you're also potentially there to work.
Yes.
Or you're staying there on a work trip. You might be not even staying in the hotel. You might be going there to meet some people, to sit in the foyer to have a meeting.
Event venues.
Yeah, even if it's 50, 60, 100 people going to a conference or training for a business.
Yes.
So there's lots of reasons people go to hotels, and like you say, you're not necessarily just there for if you're in a supermarket or a retail store, which we've done a episode on that, which you can watch. The experience there is for a short period of time. When you're in a hotel, generally there for quite a while. You could be there for a few days, for example. If you're constantly struggling with mobile signal, those issues will be that you can't either receive phone calls, you can't receive SMS, you might not want to log on to the Wi-Fi network that the hotel provides. Lots of people don't like public Wi-Fi networks. So the multiple issues why a customer won't have a very good experience when they're there, and that from a hotelier's point of view is the last thing that they want. They don't want their hotel guests leaving with a bad taste in their mouth. And one of those things we know from talking to customers and hoteliers is potentially mobile signal causing that feeling.
Yes, it's this idea of we all want our customer journeys and our customer experience when we're the customer to be friction free. Yeah. You want it to be smooth, graceful, elegant, and no problem at all. Which
is what we provide to our customers.
That's always our number one goal and intention, of course, and aiming to be world class in what you do is, I'm sure. Well, I know it's our aspiration. I'm certain it's the aspiration of all the hotel groups as well. Saying it, of course, is one thing. Delivering it is another, and I personally had experience checking into a hotel where you get to the check-in desk and it's all self-check-in these days.
Yeah.
And you've got to self-check-in, but you need to access some data in order to do it. So you're standing there. There's no one on the desk to help you because it's all automated. Yeah. You've got no data, and you're like, well, what do I do here? How am I going to get around this? Now, maybe you can log onto their Wi-Fi. Maybe you don't want to, but you're forced to do it. Suddenly, you're creating friction in the transaction.
100%. And if there's two things I'd say with that as well. One, you're causing friction, and two, in the corporate world, a lot of people are either told not to log on to public Wi-Fi networks from a security point of view, or the device they're using is a corporate device that won't allow them to log on to a public Wi-Fi network.
No, of course. So, there's the security angle.
But just to cut in on that, quickly, if you are at that check-in desk, there's an issue there for the hotelier as well. If you're stood there struggling to give the information, whether it's self-check-in or you're talking to a person there and you need to access something on your phone, you're potentially holding up 5 or 6 other people behind you who are also trying to
Nobody in... maybe it's because I've been going to the wrong hotels, and let's be quite frank, it probably is. But nobody enjoys check-in.
No.
Who enjoys check-in?
No. And I'll tell you what it is, and I've just thought of this now. The last thing you want to be doing is standing there waiting to check in.
No, exactly. You don't want
a quick, easy process.
Yeah.
Which a self-check-in desk is actually, if it works and it works well,
perfect if you can get everyone streaming through.
Yeah, you don't have to talk to anyone. You just get straight through.
Yeah.
But if you're waiting behind 5 or 6 other people who are all like faffing about on their phone trying to get
trying to get a signal,
trying to find their booking reference on their emails, but they can't get into their emails because they've got no signal.
Yeah,
that's a friction, a massive.
There is, and a hotel's a unique environment actually. So getting there's a few different components, isn't there? You might be there on business, using the venue, using the event, using the facilities. You might be there for leisure. But, so you might be eating and drinking in the property. And again, we've all had that experience where, a card machine, I know this is my phone, but a card machine, you say, can I pay? And they're waving the card machine around, going, oh, hold it a second, it's just playing up at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's usually because quite a lot of the card machines are using either maybe poor Wi-Fi, or they could flick over to mobile signal, but only if it's available.
It's a really good point, actually, and this is more aimed at the hoteliers, but it's also good for consumers to understand. Those machines that people are using to take payments on do need a data connection to take that payment. I think that's quite obvious to everyone. But again, the using a 3G, 4G, 5G SIM card in a payment machine is way more secure than using a Wi-Fi network to take those payments. Right. So the card payment operators would rather you use a 3G, 4G, 5G SIM card in those devices because of security, because the last thing they want is a load of credit card fraud going through their card machines.
Yes.
So they actually charge people a premium if they can't do that, if they can't use a service like that, if they can't use a SIM card for that service.
Right.
So they'll charge you more if you say, no, we're going to connect this device to Wi-Fi. And that is basically an insurance to cover themselves for any potential fraud that happens, because they can't guarantee that someone hasn't hacked into that Wi-Fi network, whereas the mobile networks are pretty much, as far as I know, impossible to hack into.
Yes.
Which is why they use the mobile. A lot of people now use SMS as two-factor authentication, because it's the safest way to send a two-factor authentication message to someone. Yeah,
well, and exactly. So again, you're either at a conference at a hotel or a private guest at a hotel. Yeah. You think, it's a break in the conference, or I'm in my room doing some work. I want to check my bank account, or I want to log into my LinkedIn to see what's going on. Often those things, if you've set them up, and I would encourage people to set them up with two-factor authentication, because it makes it so much secure. Yeah. Anyone that's ever been locked out of their Facebook account will tell you two-factor authentication is a must-have, because trying to get back in, Facebook have got the... it's amazing they make so much money, because they're certainly not very... Have you ever spoken to anyone from Facebook? No, exactly.
You're just stuck in a loop.
You're stuck in a loop forever of we'd rather the hacker has control of your account than you. Anyway,
we've got to be careful.
On a slight tangent there. Yeah.
It's obviously happened to Adam.
That's right. These are my personal opinions. They're not the opinions of Signal Solutions Limited or any of its representatives. But, so you're there, you got your two-factor authentication. You want to check your LinkedIn account or do something online that needs two-factor authentication, and you can't.
Yeah, it's only going to get more and more. I mean, you see cyber attacks happening all the time now. You hear seeing big retailers getting attacked themselves, like Marks and Spencer recently.
Yes.
And it's all over the news. So cyber security is becoming more and more of an issue day by day. And companies are going to be protecting themselves. Consumers are going to be protecting themselves as much as possible. And doing things like two-factor authentication is key.
Yes.
And the safest way to send that message is via SMS.
Yes.
But equally, the reason you don't want to encourage all your staff to log on to a guest Wi-Fi network. I mean, how many times have you logged on to a guest Wi-Fi network where you haven't even had to put a password in? So you're essentially just allowing anyone to join that network.
Yes.
And then, I'm not a professional hacker, but I'm sure if you can get into someone's router,
Yes.
and everybody else who's on that router currently,
Yeah.
there's probably,
Doesn't sound very safe, does it?
doesn't sound very safe. You probably can access stuff on their computer and do all sorts of weird, wonderful things that hackers do. So that's why corporate companies don't want their employees logging onto public Wi-Fi networks.
No.
And quite a lot of consumers as well. You don't necessarily need to be a corporate business to go, I'm not going to log on to that public Wi-Fi network because it's not safe.
No.
I don't want my bank details being stolen. I don't want, someone hacking my Facebook account, all those sorts of things.
Yes. And these are all the things that are either at the service or subconsciously in customers' minds as they are in and around hotels. Hotels are big sort of opportunities to improve that customer experience. A hotel in itself is a central focus for delivering of customer experience, and that's why we get inquiries from them. That's why it's a big important thing for their customers. So if I'm a hotelier and I've got a desire to find out more about this, how might I go about getting in touch, Mark?
You can head to our website, signalsolutions.co.uk. We've got lots of information on there about what we do, what we provide. There's some case studies on there. So there's case studies for hotels on there. But you can also fill out a form on any of those pages and get in contact with us. Or you can drop us an email, info@signalsolutions.co.uk. Or comment in the on whatever platform you're watching this on, and we'll get in contact with you.
Yes, exactly. And I would encourage people to either make contact, we can have a chat, or do that desktop survey request. From there, we could do a system design for you. It doesn't cost anything. We'll put that together. We'll show you how that could improve things in your venue and also give you an idea of indicative cost and explain what the next steps might be. All of that we can do, and we'd be delighted to do at no cost to yourselves. So that, I think, wraps up for today, talking about hotels. From Mark always starts, and I have started to always finish. So as far as today is concerned, thanks very much from Signal Solutions TV. We'll see you next time. Say goodbye, Mark.
Bye.